A woman with golden hair greeted Lord Allan, saying it had been a while. She asked what he could possibly want with the fiancé he had ignored for 10 whole years. She added that she did not see how he could even show his face there. She told him that even if he came to sweet-talk her, he was way too late. With a useless man like him, she declared that she would be the one dumping him. At the Royal Palace Ceremony Hall 1 month earlier, an official called for everyone to be quiet and announced that the coming-of-age ceremony would now begin. Those whose names were called were to come forward and receive the sacred wine before the deity. The name called was Latia Blanche. She responded to her father and stepped forward. Onlookers remarked that Lady Latia was as beautiful as ever. They noted she received proposals constantly. Her family, her grace, everything about her was perfect. However, it did not matter since she was already engaged to the captain of the royal guard. In this kingdom's coming-of-age ceremony, you drank sacred wine the year you turned 18. Once you did, you were recognized as an adult and could marry. Latia was told to take a sip of the sacred wine. She noted that you could not drink before this day, so it was her first time. Latia took a gulp and remarked on what alcohol tasted like. Suddenly she collapsed. People cried out her name in shock and called for someone to get a doctor quickly. Someone reported that there was nothing wrong with her, and that she just wanted to be left alone for a while. Latia asked herself what had happened to her. She noted her golden hair and blue-green eyes. Her name was Latia Blanche, the only daughter of a marquise's house, and her fiancé was the captain of the royal guard. There was no doubt about it. She realized she was inside the game, a shop management Otome game called Shopgirl Heart-Pounding Life. She recalled that in her past life she had just barely graduated from college despite her illness, got a job and then collapsed. Her past life memories had come back during the ceremony. She realized that Latia Blanche was the villainess who got in the heroine's way. A bird on the windowsill spoke to her, telling her she could now finally do her job as the villainess. Lei was shocked that the bird had just talked. She recognized the bird as the dove navigator that saved her when she got a game over. The bird corrected her, insisting it was a Java sparrow. The bird explained that since Latia was not fulfilling her role, the world was full of bugs and it was a huge pain. Latia confirmed to herself that it really was inside the game. She asked what kind of bugs. The bird said they were minor for now, but eventually the kingdom would get wiped out. Latia could not believe something that big could happen just because of her. The bird said it could not blame her for not believing and offered to show her. The bird showed Latia a vision. She was shocked by what she saw: civil war, relations with neighboring countries collapsing, herself taken prisoner, her mother and father taken prisoner. She also saw Latia's fiancé, the captain of the royal guard, Lord Allan. The bird told her this was the only bad ending in the game. If she did not commit to her role, this was inevitable. The bird started to tell her that if she wanted to save everyone, she needed to shut up and do what it said, but before it could finish, Latia cut in and agreed to do it. Latia thought about her family, the people of the kingdom, and her favorite character, Lord Allan, and said she wanted to save them all. She declared that villainous Latia Blanche would do her very best. The bird, surprised, praised her spirit. It told her that first things first, they needed to fix her overly nice tone. It handed her a manual and told her to memorize it. Latia agreed, calling it Mr. Dove. The bird protested that it was not a dove. Lydia's arrival was announced at a party. A man with flowers approached, and onlookers noted he was the one they called Frog, proposing to Lady Lydia again. They remarked he had some nerve going after someone who was already engaged. Frog asked Lydia to please give him a good answer today. Lydia appeared in a flashy dark dress with the bird on her shoulder. People whispered, asking if she had always been that flashy. Someone said she always stood out, but she used to have more elegance. They also noticed the crow on her shoulder. Frog greeted Latia, saying she looked different than usual but was as beautiful as ever. He asked her to accept his roses and let him stay by her side. Latia told him that he honestly thought a cheap flower like that made him a match for her. She told him his jokes were getting ridiculous and to know his place and to take a good long look at himself in the mirror. She then told him not to come any closer. A girl nearby reacted with surprise. Latia pointed at the girl and told Frog to look, saying there was a commoner girl just like him and that the two of them were perfect for each other. She asked whether dull little flowers should go with dull little flowers. Frog called out the girl's name, Karina. Latia told him that the flower that had been blooming by his side all this time was that girl. The girl protested that the flower did not suit someone like Latia, and told Frog that if it were her she would never make him cry. Frog said Karina's name again. Latia noted to herself that Frog and Karina should already be engaged by now, since they were the ones who helped the heroine. She considered her villainous debut successful, and thought that now Frog had given up on her, that was one thing back on track. She noted that all her practice insulting people had paid off, though the bird told her she was still way too soft. People around her wondered what had happened to Lady Latia, saying she was like a completely different person. One person remarked that if Lord Allan saw her like this, he would be crushed. The bird told Latia that Allan would be back any minute, so she needed to make sure he really hated her since smooth breakups were key. Breaking off the engagement with the villainess was a mandatory event. Latia told herself she had to pull this off. The setting was the Kingdom of Kyo, located in a far-off foreign land. Prince Cyrus, former prince of the kingdom of Cantiana, complained that he had spent 10 whole years training abroad for a so-called national tradition, and asked to be forgiven for taking one day to sightsee before heading back. Allan Corks, captain of the royal guard, flatly told him no. He informed the prince that in 3 weeks there would be a parade to celebrate his return. Cyrus protested that the parades went on for a month without anyone even caring whether the prince showed up, so what difference would one day make? Allan said there was a problem. Cyrus suggested that Latia had probably forgotten all about Allan by now. Allan firmly said no, and stated that Latia was not that kind of woman. He said his fiancée was waiting for him to come home. He added that he would be away from the kingdom on duty for a while, and told Cyrus that if waiting for him was too much, Latia should take someone else as her fiancé. Latia had told him no, to let her wait. She said that while Allan was gone she would work hard to become a lady worthy of him. She told him she was looking forward to the day they met again. Prince Cyrus gave in, saying Allan won. He acknowledged Allan had done his duty well and granted him this one request. He told Allan to make preparations to return at once and to tell the others. Allan thanked him. Cyrus's attendant remarked that it must be nice having someone waiting for you. Allan thought of Lita seriously and said to himself that he could not wait to see her. At the party, the king thanked everyone for coming and announced that his son Cyrus was finally returning to the kingdom after many long years of training abroad. He hoped everyone would see for themselves how splendidly the prince had grown. Latia was looking around restlessly. The bird asked what was wrong. Latia explained that in the game the prince was already back when it started, so getting to actually see this happen was exciting. The bird told her not to just stand there enjoying the show and reminded her that today was the big day. The prince was announced and arrived alongside Lord Allan. The bird told Lydia that Allan was back and that this was the main event. Lydia noticed Lord Allan and thought about how he was dutiful, quiet, and a bit cold, but she had loved the way he slowly opened up over time. The bird explained that the real show started after this party. Once Allan was done guarding the prince, he should at least come say hello, and that was when Lydia was to give him the full Villainess performance. The bird reminded her that their rocky relationship was a basic premise of the game. Lydia resolved that for the kingdom and for Allan she would make sure he hated her. But Allan arrived early, surprising Lydia. The bird pointed out that he was supposed to still be on duty as a bodyguard and that this was not supposed to happen until after the party. It told Lydia not to freeze up and to say her lines. Allan called out Lydia's name. Lydia launched into her act with a dramatic laugh, greeting Allan and saying it had been quite some time. She asked what he could possibly want with the fiancé he had ignored for 10 whole years. She told him that even if he came to sweet-talk her, he was way too late, and that with a useless man like him she would be the one dumping him. Allan said her name softly and told her he had missed her. He embraced her. Lydia was stunned. The bird panicked, recognizing that this was the route where the country falls. Lydia wondered why Allan was acting the way he was. The bird told her it was not the time to panic and that her reason for coming today was to make them hate her. Lydia told Allan to quit acting all friendly. She told him to stop acting as if he were still her fiancé. Allan asked what she had just said. He said he did not know what had gotten her all worked up, but told her to stop. The bird flew away in alarm. Lydia told Allan she was only there to celebrate his highness and that she had nothing to do with Allan. She asked if he really thought she would waste her time waiting for someone like him. She called him a child and told him it was time to get over himself. Allan asked if she was really Latia. She asked if he could even hear himself talk and what he was talking about. Latia excused herself and told a servant to bring the carriage around. She said she was done there. Allan stood in silence as the crowd murmured around him. He demanded to know what the meaning of this was. Latia sighed and supposed she had achieved what she wanted. She wondered if Allan had always been like that. The bird asked why she was getting all flustered. Latia stammered that it was her first time seeing him since she got her memories back, and she never thought he would actually act like that. The bird pointed out that it had been 10 years and it had figured Allan would have already moved on from her, but apparently he had not. It remarked that it was too much for her. The bird said that to think she already had Allan wrapped around her finger as a child, she was quite something. Lydia insisted she had not done anything like that. The bird told her she had done good and was sure she had destroyed his feelings. It said to wait and see what happened. Latia agreed that this way they should be able to break off the engagement without any trouble. She thought to herself that Allan had cared about her that much. She apologized to Lord Allan quietly. Allan returned to headquarters in a visibly bad mood. A subordinate welcomed him back and carefully asked how the party was. Prince Cyrus noted that Allan was angry but said he could not blame him. Allan thought to himself that there was no doubt she was the Lydia Blanche he knew, but she was nothing like how he remembered. He wondered what had happened in the 10 years he was gone. He recalled young Lydia telling him she would be waiting. He refused to believe that those words were lies, even though they had been just kids back then. A subordinate came in and reported that they had finished asking around, just as Allan had requested. Allan thanked him and apologized for bothering him while he was on patrol duty. The subordinate reported that everyone had pretty much said the same thing. For the past few years, Lady Latia had been perfectly normal, but after her coming-of-age ceremony she started acting strange. They said the sweet girl she used to be was gone, and that it was like she was a completely different person. Even her parents were worried sick. Allan noted that it started at the coming-of-age ceremony. He said the priest must know something. The subordinate asked if they should go see the priest right now. Allan said no and that he would handle it himself. Letitia was out in the town acting as a villainess, laughing loudly and mocking a man who had proposed to her. She told him that marriage with someone like him was laughable and that she was not interested in someone who could not even get a simple promotion. Onlookers confirmed that the rumors about Lady Letitia changing were true. One person said they had kind of looked up to her, but she was nothing like she used to be. Letitia told the man to forget it and said there were plenty of better women out there. She walked away and the bird confirmed she was doing well. Letitia said the whole thing was exhausting, but she thought she was starting to get used to it. The bird was not sure if that was something to celebrate. The bird asked how many guys she had shot down by that point. Letitia said she had stopped counting halfway through the day. She complained that even so she was way too popular. The bird told her it was because she was such a knockout. Letitia said that being a villainess was rough, but it was for the kingdom's future, so it was nothing. Someone told Letitia she was too careless being out alone without an escort. Allan appeared and called her his fiancé and his beloved, greeting her good afternoon. Letitia was caught off guard and greeted him back. She asked how he could say something that cheesy with a straight face. Allan replied that he did not say things he did not mean. Allan brought up that Letitia had turned him down the other day, and asked if she was interested in guys who could make captain of the knights since he was exactly what she was looking for. Letitia panicked because he had heard what she said to the man she rejected. She insisted she had only said that to make the other guy give up. The bird whispered that this was going nowhere and called Allan a stubborn bastard. It told Letitia it was time for Plan B. Letitia asked what Plan B was. The bird told her it was the clingy over-the-top seductress approach. Letitia said she really did not want to use that one, but the bird told her it was not the time to complain and that it should work on a guy like Allan. Letitia found the whole thing humiliating. Letitia clung to Allan's arm and asked if he just could not give up on her. Allan told her to let go. Letitia thought his feelings were definitely fading and that if she kept pushing it might just work. She told herself she knew he was not the type who would enjoy this. Allan said her name. Letitia looked up at him. He told her that the day she collapsed he had gone to the priest to ask what exactly had happened. The priest had declared that Letitia was a goddess. Allan asked if she was aware of the rumors that she was a villainess. He said he was well aware of those rumors. The priest had told Allan that he had been arrested for murder one day and was already preparing for the worst. But then Lady Letitia had come to save him. She had stormed in asking how they could charge him with murder when the supposed victim was right there, alive and well. She had shouted that it was ridiculous and asked if the authorities did not have anything better to do. The priest was released right after. The priest had declared that Letitia was no villainess and that she had her reasons. That was how passionately the priest had defended Letitia. Letitia panicked and trembled. Allan told her he already knew something was off with her. Letitia realized he knew. Allan told her he did not know what she was thinking, but he was going to find out. He said he would get back his beloved fiancée, her back to normal. The bird panicked, saying this was bad. It warned that as long as Allan would not give up on Letitia, they were headed straight for disaster. Letitia stared at Allan as he said her name. She recalled the bird's warning that if she did not commit to her role, the country would fall. Allan suddenly picked her up and carried her off. Letitia screamed at him to let go, calling him a kidnapper and a pervert. She yelled for somebody to help. Bystanders noticed the scream and wondered if it was a kidnapper. Letitia kicked at Allan and pointed out that people were starting to look. She shouted that she had no idea what he was talking about with the pretending to be a villainous stuff. She told him that if he had the nerve to grab her like this, he should learn how to treat a lady first. Letitia yelled for him to excuse her and stormed off to her carriage. She could not believe things had spiraled this far. Allan watched her leave. Inside the carriage, Letitia sighed and said she could not believe Allan had seen through her act. Instead of backing off, he was even more obsessed with her. She thought it made no sense, since in the game their engagement was purely political. Even if this world's Letitia had feelings for him, there was no reason he would be this into her. The bird wondered why his affection gauge was so ridiculously high. Letitia asked if this was the bird's fault. The bird told her to forget it. The bird said there was a party next week to celebrate Allan's return. It told Letitia to use it as a public stage to ruin her image. She was to make a scene in front of his relatives and make him understand she was a true villainess. The bird explained that even if Allan knew she was putting on an act, it did not matter at this point. If his affection was too high, the bird would just crush it. Letitia understood. She said she did feel bad for Lord Allan, but she could not afford to quit her role. Rumors about Letitia had spread. People asked if others had heard about Lord Allan's fiancée, Lady Letitia. They said she played with men and discarded them like toys. They pitied Allan for returning safely from his mission only to be welcomed by a fiancé like that. One person said they had thought she was wonderful, but it seemed her true nature was finally showing. Letitia overheard the gossip and could feel her reputation plummeting by the second. At the party, Letitia arrived on the arm of another man. She noted that with all eyes on her, this was her chance to make sure Allan was completely sick of her. She told herself not to falter or Allan would pounce, and to stay confident. She spotted Allan and called out to him. Allan noticed her and addressed her as Lady Letitia. Allan's parents confronted Letitia. asking her to explain why she had arrived at a celebration for Allan on another man's arm. His father told Allan that if Lytia was truly his fiancée, he should be capable of keeping her in line. He said her behavior reflected poorly on the knightly order as a whole. His mother added that Allan's sullen attitude was also a problem. Lytia apologized and said it was not the man's fault. She saw this as her chance. She declared that it was exactly the point. Why would she stay loyal to someone so cold and distant? Allan's father began to speak, but Allan cut in. He said the fault lay with him, for leaving such a beautiful lady alone. He apologized to Lytia and pulled her close. He said from now on he would personally escort her to every event. The bird warned Lytia that if this continued, Allan would seize control of the conversation, so she needed to escalate. Lytia threw her drink on Allan and told him not to touch her so casually. She told him not to assume that being her fiancé gave him the right to control her life. She said she was not a child and was perfectly capable of attending a party on her own. Bystanders murmured that the rumors really were true. Allan reached for her hand. He asked her not to be angry. He told her she must have been terribly lonely while he was gone and that she did not have to endure it anymore since he would stay by her side from now on. The crowd reacted with surprise, saying that Lytia's outbursts were just love in disguise and that of course 10 years apart would strain any engagement. Lytia could not believe what was happening with this man. No matter how many times she pushed him away, he just came right back. The bird said it was bad and that Allan was serious. It told Lytia that if she understood that much, she should help already. 3 girls called out to Lytia. Lytia recognized them as Allan's relatives. In the game, they were nothing but nuisance characters, the classic obstacles between the heroine and her love. But right now, Lytia actually wanted someone to get in between them. She greeted the 3 girls and told them that if they had complaints about her, they should not hold back. The 3 girls asked what was wrong with her and called her sister. They said all the awful rumors and everything they had seen that day sounded nothing like her. They begged her to tell them if something was bothering her. The girls clung to Lytia, crying. Lytia recalled that during the 10 years Allan was away, she had had tea with these girls now and then, and somewhere along the way they had grown attached to her. The girls turned on Allan and told him it was his fault. They said he had left Lady Lytia all alone without so much as a letter. Allan explained that while on escort duty it was customary not to contact even their own family, and that Lytia had agreed to that before he left. The girls said that was no wonder she started acting strangely out of loneliness. Lytia said no. She said she could not forgive it. She said being apart had made something very clear to her, that being engaged to the captain of the knights was nothing but suffering. She told Allan not to dare joke about her being lonely, not even as an excuse. The bird noticed there were too many eyes watching. Allan grabbed Lytia again. She protested that this was happening again. He told his relatives he was stepping out and to cover for them however they liked. The girls eagerly agreed and told the 2 to talk things through. Lytia yelled at Allan to let go of her. He told her to calm down and that she could scream all she wanted out there, but no one was coming. The bird called out to Lytia. Lytia recalled that Allan Corks, captain of the Royal Guard, was a character defined by duty and severity. She protested that this was the kind of character he was supposed to be. In the game, his interactions with the heroine would slowly open up his rigid heart. The iron mask people mocked him for would crack, revealing awkward smiles. And though confused by love, he would still choose to embrace it. Lytia told Allan that dragging a woman into his bedroom without consent was shameless. Allan replied that playing tough with him was pointless, and reminded her that she was the woman who once doused a man with wine in public. Allan demanded that Lytia tell him what had happened. Lytia said this was her problem and that she had nothing to say to someone who was only her fiancé. Allan said very well. He pushed her down onto the bed and told her they should seal their bond right there and then. Allan called out Lytia's name as he held her close. Lytia was shocked and stammered, asking him to wait. She couldn't believe what was happening and questioned why he was this obsessed with a woman he hadn't seen in 10 years. Allan asked if the reason wasn't obvious, telling Lytia that she was the one who changed him. He remembered being introduced to Lady Lytia, the only daughter of Marquis Blanche. He was told that she would be his fiancée. Allan recalled how his father had told him about the engagement. Allan had pointed out that the following month he would be escorting the prince and leaving the kingdom for years, and questioned why he needed to be engaged on top of that. His father replied that whether now or later made no difference, since Lytia would come of age in 10 years. Allan admitted to himself that his father wasn't wrong. Allan's path had always been decided for him as the eldest son of House Corks. Join the knights, leave the kingdom for a decade, return and serve as captain of the Royal Guard. Allan thought that if his father said this was right, then it probably was. He accepted and said very well. His father was glad that Allan understood and said that now Lytia could devote herself to her bridal education. He then told Allan he would leave Lady Lytia in his care. Allan's father asked if someone would tell him about the recent southern campaign, and stepped away to have a maid bring tea, telling them to wait a moment. Allan looked at the tiny girl and thought to himself that she was his fiancée. Lytia called out to Allan. Both of them stared at each other. Lytia told Allan that he had just looked unhappy about all of this, and asked if she should ask them to call off the engagement. She said that if she spoke to her father herself, she thought he would listen. Latia told Allan that he should choose what he wanted, and that he didn't have to live his life just doing as he was told. Allan was caught off guard and wondered what she was even saying. He knew that no one questions an arranged marriage, and that it wasn't something they could simply refuse. He thought she spoke so lightly only because she was a child. Latia's words made Allan think. He had always assumed he would follow the same life as his father. He wondered if he was the only one being forced into this. Allan then said that maybe he should give it all up, the engagement, the nights, and live however he pleased. Latia exclaimed that that was wonderful, saying that wanting something for yourself was precious. Allan was taken aback. Latia listed off possibilities: a swordsman, an adventurer, a musician, a trader, saying there was a whole world of paths out there. She asked him what kind of man he would become. Allan said that realistically he would become captain of the Royal Guard, and that even if the path was already decided, he didn't really mind. Latia said she couldn't wait to see it. Allan thought to himself that this one thing he could never let go of. He recalled how Latia's freedom changed the way he saw the world. He asked her if she had dreams. She said yes, so many. That was the moment he decided he would make her his fiancée no matter what. Back in the present, Latia told Allan that if he loved her for being free, then why was he trying to cage her now? Allan started to reply but then stopped. Latia pulled herself free from his grasp. Allan stared at her silently. Allan apologized for grabbing her too roughly. He told her that once she calmed down she could return to the hall, but that he was not letting her go. He then walked away. Latia asked if he wasn't some kind of monster in disguise. Allan turned back and called her name. Latia flinched with her heart racing. Latia called out to her bird companion, Birdie. She apologized, saying that it really did look like she had led Allan on as a child. She said she knew it. Birdie asked what happened and what she knew exactly. Latia said that making Lord Allan give up on her might be harder than she thought and wondered what she was going to do. Latia declared that she would support the heroine with everything she had. In the official story, the ceremony happened after the prince returned. The task involved gathering a rare flower that bloomed for only 1 week deep in a forest only the chosen could enter. On the way, both the prince and Allan would be poisoned by a monster, and the heroine, a shopkeeper's daughter, would appear. Latia said there was a branching route and she would make sure it led to Allan. Birdie told her to hold on a second and asked why she was cheering for the heroine when she was supposed to be trying to make Allan hate her. Birdie pointed out that it would be better if Allan loved someone else more. Lydia agreed but said she would commit to being the heroine's supporting cast. She admitted that Lord Allan's intensity was overwhelming, and if things continued she would lose her resolve. Birdie muttered that it was easier said than done. Latia, Allan, and the prince traveled on horseback through the forest. The prince confirmed the flower should be just up ahead. Allan said yes. The prince warned that some of the monsters in the area were poisonous and told them to stay alert. Latia noted to herself that the heroine hadn't arrived yet. Latia explained her plan to Birdie. She was waiting there to support the heroine so that the heroine would end up on Lord Allan's route. If necessary, she would intervene so the heroine wouldn't get too close to the prince. Latia then shouted to warn the prince that something was behind him. A bale tiger appeared. The prince identified it and warned that its claws and fangs were venomous. Allan said he knew. Latia recognized that the event was starting and that everything was going according to the scenario so far. The prince failed to dodge the first strike and suffered a shallow wound. Allan shielded him and took a hit as well. Allan then killed the monster. Latia was stunned by how strong he was, noting that he wasn't supposed to escape unharmed. The prince told Allan to let him see his wound. Allan said it was nothing serious. Latia looked around for the heroine, who was supposed to appear and heal them with medicinal herbs. But the heroine should have emerged from the bushes by now. Latia looked around frantically. The heroine was not there. Latia was shocked. The prince said they had to return to the castle at once. Allan mentioned the ceremony, but the prince insisted that if the poison spread, there would be no ceremony at all. A girl with a braid and a basket appeared in the distance. Latia suddenly appeared before the prince and Allan, calling out to them. Allan was stunned and asked why she was there. Latia claimed it was just a coincidence and that she happened to be passing by. Birdie remarked that it was the worst excuse imaginable. Latia acted surprised at seeing the dead bale tiger and said that a certain herb's sap could neutralize its poison completely. She applied it to their wounds. The prince praised her, saying she was very knowledgeable and that she had saved them. Latia felt guilty, thinking that his sincerity hurt her conscience. Allan asked suspiciously why she was there. Latia noticed that Allan was already suspicious of her. She internally scolded herself, thinking that this was supposed to be the heroine's event, and told herself to stop stealing the heroine's spotlight. Latia said that the first aid should cover things for now, but suggested they brew some medicine too just to be safe. The prince was impressed and noted that she had even brought medicine-making tools. Allan pointed out that she was awfully prepared for someone who was just passing by. Latia jolted at this. Latia claimed she had been dabbling in herbal medicine lately and that she had only gotten hooked on it recently. Allan remarked that it was new. He sighed and asked if she could make the medicine there. Latia thought to herself that there was nothing more she could do at that location. She recalled that in the game they go to the heroine's house after this event and that was where the medicine was made. She started to say something. A girl appeared and asked if someone was suffering from poison, saying she knew a little about medicine and offering to help. Latia was startled and thought that she was here. Latia immediately realized this girl was not the heroine she expected. The prince told the girl that only the royal family and their attendants were allowed on the sacred ground and asked who she was. The girl apologized, saying she didn't realize it was sacred ground and that she only came because her daughter insisted. The woman introduced the girl as Aami. Allan told the girl to go ahead and say hello. Latia was confused by the name Aami. She recalled that in the game, if no name was entered for the heroine, the default name used was Aami. She realized this was the official heroine appearance. A girl called Aami. She was shocked that the heroine was a child. He said to take it easy, and that there was no need to get so tense. She said that if the girl knew what she was doing, they should let her take a look. Allan protested, but Latia pointed out that she had already handled the first aid, but there could still be poison in their system. The girl's mother said that a simple draft should flush it out. Aami told her mother they could make it at home. Allan looked at them seriously. Allan told the prince to return to the castle immediately, saying he had stationed men at the forest entrance. The prince told Latia she should accompany him. Allan said he would retrieve the medicine. Aami tried to say something but was cut off. Latia declared that she would go too. Allan asked if Aami's home was nearby. She said yes, just up ahead. They set off. Aami thanked them and said she was happy to help. Latia walked along, lost in thought. She wondered to herself why the heroine was a kid. Latia exclaimed that she knew it. Birdie asked what happened and what exactly she knew. Birdie told Latia to stop relying on the heroine and to stick to being the villainess. Latia pointed out that if they waited 10 years, Aami would be the right age. Birdie asked if she was planning to stall for 10 whole years, saying the country would be gone by then. Latia groaned. Allan asked if Latia was alright and said he could still call for the carriage. She told him she was fine. Latia recalled that in Allan's route she was pretty sure they stayed for tea at the heroine's house. She told Allan she was tired and wanted to rest for a bit. Allan told Latia that this was exactly why he had told her to return with the prince. Aami told them not to worry and that they were so loud. She prepared tea and told them to make themselves comfortable. Latia thought that this hospitality matched what she remembered from the game. She confirmed to herself that Aami really was the heroine. Aami smiled cheerfully, and Latia thought she was adorable. Birdie warned her to be careful, saying her villainous mask was slipping. Latia protested that she couldn't play the villain against a kid. Birdie said that softness was exactly her weakness. Aami's mother remarked that when she looked at Latia and Allan together with Aami between them, they looked just like parent and child. Allan commented that apparently they looked good together, like a real family. Latia panicked internally, thinking this was bad and that she didn't like where things were going. She told him not to get carried away. Allan asked Latia if she was embarrassed. She shouted that she was not, insisting that any man and woman with a child between them would look like a family. Latia thought Allan was toying with her again. She decided she would help Aami instead. Aami said she was making medicine and offered to help, asking Latia to grab the herbs from the top shelf. Latia said to leave it to her. Latia grabbed 2 bottles and asked if those were the 2 Aami wanted. Aami looked surprised and said Latia had picked them perfectly. She then pointed out that she had never told Latia which herbs to grab. Aami said that one of the vials looked familiar and that she had seen the same kind at home. She explained that her father made them himself, so she didn't think anyone else would have one. Latia cursed to herself, realizing she had recognized the items from the game without thinking. She thought that now she just looked creepy rather than villainous. Aami said there was something else she needed in her room and asked Latia to come with her to get it. Latia agreed, saying she should have everything they needed for the medicine. Allan told Aami not to be a bother to Lady Latia too much. Aami said okay. Latia followed Aami upstairs and noted that the room was exactly the same as in the game. Aami asked what she needed. Aami told Latia that there was no way she was just a normal person. She said that only a player would know that recipe. She admitted she briefly considered that Latia might just be an idiot. Aami then asked Latia directly if she was reincarnated too. Latia was stunned and asked if Aami was like her. Aami said that no normal person would catch that. Both of them exclaimed at the same time. Latia asked why Aami was a child. Aami said she didn't know and that even she had freaked out when her memories came back. Latia asked if Aami had drunk the fruit wine. Aami said she had tried some when she was 6 just because she was curious. Latia said she wasn't supposed to do that. Latia confirmed to herself that the fruit wine really was the trigger that brought back their past life memories. Aami told Latia to never mind that and get to the point. She complained that they had finally reached the start of the main game and there was Latia, someone who shouldn't even be there. She also demanded to know what was going on with Allan. Latia flinched. Aami said she had never seen this happen on any route, and that Allan being crazy about Latia was the absolute worst-case scenario. Latia asked if Aami was actually a pretty hardcore player. Aami replied that she obviously was, saying she had cleared every route and collected every skill. Latia explained her situation, that people said if she ended up with Lord Allan, the country would fall. She said Allan stubbornly refused to hate her. and the heroine she was counting on was still just a little kid. She had thought she was completely out of options, but now she realized Aami was exactly who she needed. Aami declared that she was not quitting as the heroine just because she was a kid, and warned Lydia that if she got in her way she wouldn't hold back. Lydia was confused by the sudden intensity. She grabbed Azami's hand and asked her to wait. Aami told her to let go. Lydia begged Aami to help her make Lord Allan hate her. Aami was completely taken aback. Meanwhile, Allan stood glaring from downstairs, silently urging Lydia to hurry back. Aami repeated Lydia's claim that if she ended up with Allan, the country would fall. She explained that while there was a nation destruction ending in the game, it was the kind of bad end you could only get by deliberately tanking every romance target's affection. It was a hidden ending you had to really go looking for. For it to happen just because Lydia and Allan ended up together seemed strange to her. Lydia thought that maybe that was how much of an anomaly the marriage actually was. She told Aami that was why she wanted her help making Lord Allan hate her. Aami asked if Lydia had hit a kid at least once, since she was calling herself a villainess. Lydia said no, that even she wouldn't hit a child. Aami said how kind of her, and that in that case things worked out perfectly. Allan heard a crash from Azami's room upstairs and called out Lydia's name. He rushed up to find the room with broken pottery and herbs scattered across the floor. Aami was sniffling. Allan asked what happened. Aami explained while glancing at Lydia that Lydia had kept rushing her to make the medicine and she had dropped the vial. Then Lady Lydia had gotten mad and slapped her. Lydia was shocked and blurted out that Aami was pinning it on her. She protested that Aami was the one who had tripped and dropped it, calling her a klutz. She added that making such a fuss over a little smack was why she couldn't stand kids. Aami said she never knew Lady Lydia was so scary. Her eyes started welling with tears as she cried out that it hurt and called for Allan to help her. Lydia stepped on the broken glass and hurt her foot. Allan immediately rushed to her and asked if she was okay. He told her to let him see her foot and asked if she was hurt. Lydia whispered to him that it was an act. Allan stared at her. He then called out to Aami, saying it sounded like the vial had fallen and shattered and that she should get a broom. Aami agreed. Aami said the pain had kind of stopped. Allan told them to let the staff handle the cleanup and that they were going back. Lydia protested about Azami's injury. Allan said to let him see how bad it was first. He told her that her mother had already prepared what they needed. She had said that the first 2 bottles she had pulled from the shelf had all the ingredients. He asked what the story about needing something from Azami's room was really about. She didn't know what to say. Allan told Lydia to come on. She protested that she still had things to discuss with Aami. Allan told her enough and picked her up. Lydia was stunned that this was happening again. She complained that Lord Allan was always scooping her up like this and asked if he thought she was luggage. He said he did not, that it was simply the fastest way. Allan addressed Aami, saying that crying was fine, but if there wasn't even a trace of tears, everyone would know she was faking. He told her to stop flirting with men at her age and that she wouldn't grow into much of an adult that way. He then said they were leaving. Lydia was stunned. She thought that she had finally found her savior, a reincarnator and a veteran player, and Allan was just going to leave like this. Lydia shouted that Aami would pay for this. Allan warned her she would fall off if she kept thrashing like that. Lydia said it was alright and that she could walk home by herself. Aami watched them go and wondered what that was all about. They arrived back at the estate. Lydia's nanny rushed out asking where she had been, saying her shoes and dress were filthy and that they had to get her changed at once. Lydia apologized. Allan said her nanny was so loud and was overreacting. The nanny insisted it was not an overreaction, pointing out that a marquise's daughter had gone out alone without attendants, and to a forest where monsters appeared no less. Lydia admitted to herself that Allan was not wrong, and that on top of everything she had come back covered in dirt, so of course everyone was worried. She turned to Allan and said she could go wherever she pleased. She asked if he was so afraid of being embarrassed by his fiancé that he would rather keep her shut away. She thought to herself that if she said this much, Lord Allan would be disgusted and go home. Allan embraced Lydia from behind. He told her he was just worried about her. Lydia froze. Allan told her that she was doing a worse job hiding it, and that the Lydia he found so dear, the one she used to be, kept slipping through. He said that was why he was not giving up on her. Lydia shouted at him not to start spouting nonsense, insisting she was not anyone but herself. She told him to just go home already. She then apologized to Lord Allan in her thoughts, thinking that she could no longer play dumb in his arms. She had finally found a way to save him in the country, and she was not giving up. A soldier arrived at Azami's house pardoning the intrusion. He confirmed that they were Aami and her parents, and told them they would be coming with him. Lydia apologized to Aami, who was annoyed and asked if they really had to drag her family in like this. Lydia explained that they had ended up drawing attention to Aami and hoped the neighbors wouldn't start gossiping. Aami asked about her parents. Lydia said they were being entertained in another room and told her not to worry. Aami asked why she had been called there. Birdie asked Lydia if she had told Aami everything. Lydia said yes. Aami asked if this was about Lydia wanting her help again. Lydia said she really did need her help, and that if Aami was also reincarnated she should be able to help. Birdie warned Letitia not to share too much, saying they didn't know for sure that Aami was on their side, and told her not to feed Aami extra information. Birdie added that she couldn't understand a word he was saying, and to also keep quiet about him originally being a Java sparrow. Aami asked what was with the crow. Letitia explained that he was kind of like a fairy that helped her out. Letitia formally asked Aami for her help again. She guessed that since Aami wasn't giving up on being the heroine, her goal was romancing her favorite character. Aami said her goal was an adults-only route where she spent her days with every love interest. Letitia told her not to say those words with that face. Aami went into detail, describing things that were bleeped out. She explained that it was an all-ages game, so the route didn't actually exist, but once you cleared them, they were basically yours. She asked if Letitia understood. Aami then warned Letitia that her precious favorite was included in her plans too. Letitia was shocked. Aami said good. Letitia acknowledged that she knew. Aami said she would help, since she didn't exactly want the country to go up in flames either. Letitia was thrilled. Aami explained that she knew how to handle Allan the game character, but the Allan of the present was so obsessed with Letitia that he might as well be a different person. She said that even if she had her real body back, she didn't think she could win him over. Letitia asked what they should do. Aami said that if Letitia really wanted Allan to hate her, she would probably have to kill someone close to him. Letitia said that was not an option, and that she just needed him to hate her without hurting anyone. Aami suggested that personally she thought losing one background character to save the country was a fair trade. Letitia told her that calling them background characters was awful. Aami said okay, she heard her. Aami told Letitia to relax and revealed that there was a way for her to break off the engagement on her own. Letitia was impressed, thinking this was what she expected from a veteran player. A few days later, Letitia was at a grand ball. She was determined and said she would do it, whatever it took. She thanked Prince Liebel for inviting her. The prince said he should be the one thanking her, and that he never imagined she would come as a prospective bride. The prince called out to her, and Letitia stood beside him. She wondered to herself how things had ended up like this. Allan noticed there were a lot more women at the ball than usual. Cyrus asked if he really didn't know, explaining that the ball was just a cover and they were really there to pick a bride for the crown prince. He added that she had heard if the prince liked someone, things like rank and country didn't even matter. Allan remarked that the prince was only there because of that whole setup, but that it was still a party either way. He said that if the prince got the chance, networking was part of his job too. Allan then noticed something and looked confused, saying he looked totally freaked out. He asked Allan what was going on. Allan asked what he meant. Letitia recalled Aami's earlier conversation. Aami had asked Letitia if she could be the one to break off the engagement herself. Letitia said that with how Allan was right now, she didn't think that would even matter. She told Aami she couldn't handle it alone and needed her help. If that was enough to scare Allan off, he would have called it quits right when they reunited. Aami sighed and said she understood. She told Letitia to relax, explaining that right now Allan just couldn't let go of his admiration for the Letitia from 10 years ago. Aami said that basically Letitia just needed a way more dramatic affair. Letitia said she had already tried flirting with other guys, but that obviously fake flirting got called out immediately. Aami explained that any guy whose rank was low enough that he ran the second Allan glared at him was useless. They needed someone higher than a marquis, higher than a duke royalty. Letitia stammered. Aami explained that by that logic Prince Liebel was perfect, the easiest weakest target. She said his starting affection was ridiculously high and that you could speedrun to marriage doing nothing. He was so easy that if you weren't careful you just fell into his route. Letitia worried about whether she would actually end up married if everything went too smoothly. Aami said that Liebel fell in love at the drop of a hat, so in the worst case Letitia could just dump him on someone else. Aami told Letitia to just go charm him and get it over with. Letitia said Aami made it sound way too easy. Aami told her not to play the villain and to just lure him in with sweet innocent charm. Liebel approached Letitia and told her the rumors were true, that she really was beautiful. Letitia thought to herself that she had no clue how to do any of that. She was just so happy that someone was talking to her like that she didn't know what to do with herself. She thought it was so embarrassing she could die and that there was no way she could keep this up. Letitia grabbed a glass of wine. Liebel asked if she was thirsty. She gulped it down, saying it was the country's finest wine and to please take one's time. Liebel called out to her. She kept drinking. He asked if she was sure she should be drinking that much. Letitia let out a sigh of relief. Letitia called Liebel by name with a smile. Liebel looked slightly flustered. Letitia told him that even though they had just met it didn't feel like the first time, and that maybe it was what they called fate. Liebel was charmed. Birdie remarked that she was completely wasted and wondered if she would even remember the plan. Aami said it wasn't like she could get through to Letitia right now and that whatever happened, even if Letitia actually married Liebel, it wasn't like she would care. Allan appeared and commented that the two of them seemed to be hitting it off. Aami wondered why he was even there. Allan told them to wait. He wondered to himself what kind of fun scheme Letitia had cooked up this time. Liebel told Letitia that he was serious, saying that he truly believed he was born just to meet her. Letitia said that was a bit much. Liebel said that fate might be right. Allan interrupted, excusing himself and apologizing for interrupting when things were getting good, but asked if he could have a word. Letitia was startled to see Allan. He explained that he had come as the prince's escort and asked what she was doing there. He said that tonight was not the kind of event someone with a fiancé should be at, and told her to go home now. Letitia thought this was bad and that if things continued the whole plan would fall apart. She refused to go home and grabbed onto Liebel, declaring that she was going to marry this man. Prince Liebel stammered that their meeting was fate. Allan told Letitia that this wasn't a game and to stop dragging a foreign prince into her games. Allan addressed Crown Prince Liebel formally, apologizing deeply but told him he had to ask him to give up on Letitia. Liebel and Letitia both flinched. Allan said that his rank was lower than Liebel's and that he didn't have much to offer, but he told Liebel that the one who was going to marry Letitia was him. He said that when it came to how he felt about Letitia he wouldn't lose to anyone. Allan knelt down, took Letia's hand and told her he loved her. He told her not to dare leave his side and asked her to accept his love. The crowd around them stirred. Letitia was flushed and begged him to stop, saying not in front of everyone. Allan told her she was the one who got drunk and started talking crazy. Letitia insisted she was not drunk and that she was the one who wanted him to stop. Liebel told Letitia to cut it out. He then apologized. He turned to a maid who said no, that she should be the one to apologize. Liebel exclaimed that Lady Letitia was supposed to, but he cut himself off. He then asked her name, saying she was nobody, just a servant. Allan replied that rank didn't matter in love. Liebel looked struck by those words. Letia's plan had completely fallen apart. She said she had been trying so hard. She asked Allan why he had to ruin it for her. Allan told her to calm down. Letitia insisted she was calm. The plan was toast. They sat in a carriage together in total silence. Aami thought the situation was unbelievably awkward. Letitia had fallen asleep leaning against Allan. She murmured that he was stupid in her sleep. Allan looked down at her. Allan carried Letitia and said they would have to change tactics. Bertie asked if it was even possible to disappoint him. Aami stared silently. A man with long hair was reading documents somewhere. He remarked that even their kingdom's knight commander had gone soft. Letitia lamented that her plan didn't work again. She had really steeled herself and gone all in this time, but in the end she just woke up asleep in her own bed. The very next day Allan Sama showed up. Allan told Letitia that from now on she was not drinking at all. He said that if he wasn't watching her there was no telling what she would pull, and that if she must drink she should call him first. Azami-san scolded her for getting drunk. Because she had dragged him around too much she was basically under house arrest now. Letitia admitted she was starting to lose confidence in the whole wicked woman thing. She sighed. The crow told her not to dwell on what was already done and suggested they go to the church to clear her head. Letitia agreed, saying she felt like praying to the gods at this point. Letitia entered the church. She noted that she hadn't set foot in a church since she came with her family for worship. Someone remarked that morning service was already over. A priest with glasses told her that if she had come to pray she should feel free and that he was sure God would hear her voice. He then asked if she happened to be Lady Letitia Blanche. Letitia confirmed that she was. Caught off guard, Letitia thought he looked familiar. She recognized him as Daryus from the game. She noted that she had only ever cleared Allan Sama's route, so she didn't actually know much about him. She asked him if he knew who she was, and he said yes, as she was quite famous after all. But then he added in a bad way. He told Letitia that people said Lady Letitia Blanche, daughter of a marquis, was a bewitching woman who had the kingdom's knight commander wrapped around her finger. Letitia was shocked. Daryus continued, saying there was even an article in the paper about the ball the other day, about a woman who already had a fiancé cozying up to a foreign prince. He called her a corrupt woman who knew nothing about true love. He pointed out that in a country where white birds were worshipped as messengers of God, Letitia, who was always followed by a black bird, was the very image of a witch. Letitia wondered if maybe everything she had been doing up until now was actually working. Daryus said he had said too much but added that the people were all hoping for the two of them to break up. He stated that before God he only spoke the truth. Letitia was stunned, wondering if her villainous act was actually working. She thought about how Allan Sama, the prince, and even Azami-san had not seemed affected by it at all. Letitia called Daryus a horrible priest for calling someone a witch. She declared that he had ruined her mood and that she was leaving. She stormed off happily while Daryus watched her go. Back home, Aami was shocked to hear that Letitia went to church. He asked if she got all buddy-buddy with Daryus. Letitia said she had just stopped by on her walk. Aami said Daryus was his absolute favorite character. Aami explained that Daryus was a priest by day but at night he led the vigilante corps. He handled the shady work the knights couldn't cover, so even Allan relied on him. Despite his double life seeming scary, he was really kind to women and kids. Letitia mentioned that Daryus had called her corrupt and a witch and a bunch of other things. Aami was shocked, insisting Daryus would never say something like that, and asked if Letitia was making fun of his favorite. Letitia thought that just like Allan Sama, Daryus had also drifted away from his original character. Aami called out Letitia's name angrily. She ran off, saying she had promised to stay quietly in her room and had just come out for fresh air. Letitia wondered if the game was starting to break down in all kinds of places. Allan was at his desk, noting that the crime rate had been going up and wondering why fewer requests for patrols and security were being sent to the Knight's Order. A subordinate came in saying he had some questions about a report Allan sent. Then someone announced that Sir Daryus was there to see him. Daryus walked in and greeted Allan casually, saying it had been a long time. Allan asked what he wanted, noting that word was the Knight's Order had had way too much time on its hands lately. Daryus said he wasn't there on business. Allan asked if he came all the way there just to say that. Daryus told Allan that it was his fault. Daryus explained that lately the esteemed Knight Commander had been so busy chasing after some woman that he had been slacking off at work. Because people didn't trust Allan anymore, the Vigilante Corps had been getting more jobs instead of the Knights. Daryus added that they weren't wrong about that. Daryus said that if Allan was letting some foolish woman lead him around, then he mentioned that he had met Allan's fiancée and that she was exactly what the rumors said. Allan told him not to talk about her like that. Daryus remarked that the rumors about Allan going soft were true. Daryus said he couldn't care less about Allan's love life, but because of it, they were the ones overworked and struggling. He told Allan not to let him down, addressing him as Knight Commander. Letia was at a social gathering, boasting to other ladies that Prince Liebel himself had proposed to her and that her beauty was really a crime. The crow noted she was on fire today. Allan appeared nearby watching her. Letia complained that it had been such a good offer, but Allan ruined it, and that if he hadn't interfered, by now she would be sober. They both stopped and stared at each other. Letia told herself there was no need to be afraid and that she now had proof that her wicked woman act was definitely working. She greeted Allan, acting surprised to run into him. She accused him of stalking her and said the Knights must have way too much free time. Allan turned and walked away without a word. The crow pointed out that it looked like Allan had finally lost interest in her and that at this rate she should be able to break off the engagement without any trouble. Letia weakly agreed. She thought that the Allan-sama from the game was finally back, and if things kept going like this they should be able to keep the kingdom from being destroyed. But still, as she watched Allan walk away, Letia looked unsettled. Allan told Aami that she was the one he was meant to be with. He called her name and said he loved her. Aami was thrilled, celebrating that she had finally cleared Allan's route. She noted that his affection was tough to raise, but she was glad she got the happy ending. Aami felt bad for Letia getting dumped, but then paused and realized something. She said Letia was Ian, and then shouted me. Letia woke up in her bed, startled. Allan was at his desk working through a massive pile of documents. He told a subordinate that there was nothing left to reply to that week and asked him to bring next week's pile, saying he would knock it out while he had time. He then asked about a subjugation report, requesting real numbers. The subordinate thanked him. Allan looked serious. The subordinate noticed that the captain was working faster than usual today. Allan went out to train with his men. He told them not to forget what they learned and not to slack off on training. The knights responded with "Yes, sir." Someone told everyone to line up because His Highness was there for an inspection. The prince said he was always grateful for the knight's service to the kingdom. He warned that monster numbers near the border were rising and they might get sudden subjugation requests. He told them to stay sharp and ready to move. The knights responded with "Yes, sir." Allan asked the prince why the sudden inspection. The prince said he had heard about Allan's recent work. The prince told Allan that word was he was so focused on duty that he was neglecting his fiancée. He said he figured he would see for himself, especially since the girl from the rumors was there today. Allan noticed Letia and Aami at the knight's barracks. Aami asked what Letia had dragged her there to see. The prince asked what they were doing at the barracks. Allan told them to just watch. Letia called out to Allan, saying she came all the way to the sweaty, disgusting place just for him. She asked if that was how he treated his fiancée and demanded he at least pretend to be happy to see her. Allan sighed and asked if that was all. Letia looked stunned. Allan told her that if they were done he was leaving. Letia stared after him. Aami exclaimed that Allan was totally over her now and that was the real Allan, just like he should be. She added that now her harem plan was going to work for sure. Letia said what? Daryus appeared and greeted Letia, calling her Allan's ex-beloved fiancé. He said he owed her an apology for what happened at church and that he felt kind of bad, wondering if he had been too harsh. He said he was just worried about the kingdom's knight commander, but it looked like he didn't need to be. Daryus said he was relieved it was just a silly crush and that was the real Allan-sama. Letia agreed. Daryus remarked that it seemed Allan had finally figured out what Letia was really like. Letia said he was right, and thought to herself that now she could finally be his fan. Allan reported that stable cleaning was done and told someone free to take the horses out while scouting since they hadn't been running enough lately. He then tried to give another order but trailed off. Letia was there with an old woman, excitedly ordering her to draw Allan petting the horse right now. The old woman said moving subjects were really hard to sketch but that she would love one of him on horseback too. Daryus commented that it was easier said than done. Letia told Daryus that if he wanted a picture he should just ask Allan himself. Daryus said that was not possible. The old woman asked Letia to please beg Allan for her. Letia declared that there was no way Allan-sama would ever do something like that for her because Allan-sama hated her. Daryus stared silently. The old woman timidly showed a composition and asked if it would work. Letia praised her, calling her amazing and a god-tier royal court artist. Letia went to a jewelry shop and asked if they had any blue gems that matched Allan-sama's eyes, gushing about how his eye color was so beautiful. Allan was there too, looking unamused. Daryus watched from outside. He thought to himself that the rumors about them must have been true, and that maybe sapphire would be best or aquamarine could work. He mused about Latia's favorite color and wondered what was happening. He said she was a poor thing who didn't even realize she had been dumped, and that Allan had loved her so much but she just took it for granted. He guessed she would hug those jewels and cry herself to sleep. He said it served her right. Lydia went to a bookshop and asked for every paper with an article about the Knight Commander. The clerk noted it was quite a stack. Lydia insisted she would buy them all. She was happy they were all in good condition. Lydia asked Aami if he wasn't going to fangirl at all, saying Daryus-sama was right there. Aami said he wasn't an analog nerd like her. Lydia then pointed out that his beloved Daryus-sama was right there and he was just sitting quietly asking if he was okay. Aami told her to leave him alone, saying he was struggling with how the game and reality didn't match anymore. Daryus was nearby watching. Two people gossiped about how Lydia was suddenly collecting articles about Allan-sama, and asked why since Allan-sama had been the one obsessed with Lady Lydia. They noted that somehow the two had completely switched places. Another person told them to keep it down. They said Lydia blew Allan off when he was chasing her but then suddenly flipped like this and wondered why she didn't seem hurt and why she was acting like she didn't care. Lydia explained to Daryus that this was the role Lydia was supposed to play. In the game, Lydia was the one Allan-sama dumped. She said she was just a regular player who was head over heels for him and that was who she was meant to be in this world. Daryus looked confused. Lydia said she had no reason to be hurt. Daryus started to ask her something but before he could finish someone called out to him urgently. A messenger arrived with an urgent report. The monsters near the border had multiplied and nearby villages were getting hit. The knights were putting together a subjugation squad. Lydia whispered to Aami, asking if this meant what she thought. This event existed in the game, but originally the local militia was supposed to lead and the knights just backed them up when asked. Aami confirmed that normally this would be a Daryus-led event but this time Allan-sama's squad went ahead. They had lost contact with Allan's squad. Lydia and Aami were shocked. Lydia cried out Allan-sama's name in alarm. Lydia announced that Allan was missing. Daryus called him an idiot. Daryus ordered his men to move out. Lydia begged him to take her with them. Daryus asked what exactly a pampered princess who couldn't even ride a horse was supposed to do and told her she would just slow them down and to stay home where it was safe. Aami told Lydia that if they got dragged into that mess they would be the ones getting hurt. She suggested they just do what they were told and sit this one out. Lydia called Aami's name then said she needed a favor. Daryus told the knights to lead the way. Lydia appeared on horseback, dressed in riding clothes and said she could ride. Daryus told her to be ready to move if she was coming. Lydia begged Daryus to let her go. She promised she would stay somewhere safe and not get in his way. Daryus warned that if a marquise's daughter got hurt, they were finished. He told her that if she couldn't keep up, they were leaving her behind. Daryus shouted for them to go. They rode out at full speed. They arrived near the border area and Daryus asked where the advance squad had entered the forest. Someone said it was by a house over there where a path led straight to the border. Aami recalled that at that path, a choice appeared in the game but one of the paths was the wrong answer. The path was blocked by a landslide and they couldn't get through. Lydia told Daryus to take the detour by the stables, saying they could loop around from there. Someone confirmed that she was right and there was a path there. Daryus ordered them to move out. Aami was shocked, wondering if Lydia remembered everything from this point onward in the game. They rode through the forest in a carriage. Daryus asked Lydia if she remembered every single choice and told her that if it was all in her head she should tell him everything. Aami was shocked that he asked for everything. Lydia declared that she was not going in until she knew it all. Aami said she did remember but tried to protest. Daryus told her not to bother because it was pointless. The crow appeared and told Lydia she didn't need to go. Lydia was surprised, asking if the crow had been there the whole time. The crow said it took her long enough to notice. The crow told her not to throw away the distance she had finally put between herself and Allan, and that this was Daryus's problem. If Daryus was handling it, they would be fine. The crow told her to just leave it alone. Someone called out that the road was splitting and asked which way. Lydia told Aami to hurry up and tell her. Aami said she got it, but started to object. Lydia cut her off, saying that in this broken world, nothing was guaranteed. Aami told them to take the left path at the first fork. She said going right would just lead back to the forest entrance. The left path followed the river. Daryus agreed, saying to follow the river and it would take them toward the border. Someone asked what Lydia was talking about. Daryus ordered them to go left. They kept riding. Daryus wondered how a marquise's daughter knew her way around a random forest like this. He thought it was like she was predicting everything. They made it through and spotted Allan and his squad in the distance. Daryus called out to Allan. Allan looked annoyed, clicking his tongue and calling it a pain. A large monster bird appeared. It was a Schnellbird. Daryus said it was too far for a clean shot and that its hide was thick. Lydia told Daryus to take a bow, saying that holy water worked on Schnellbirds and that its weak point was something she was about to describe. She handed him a bow. Someone recognized it as a royal issue weapon. Lydia told Daryus that the arrowheads were coated in holy water, and to hit the monster with them to create an opening. She told him he could do it. Daryus said he didn't love being ordered around, but if their prophet said so, he would trust it. Latia was caught off guard by the word prophet. Daryus drew the bow. Latia shouted to Allan that once the monster lost its balance, he should hit it hard. She told him not to mess this up. Daryus fired the arrow and hit the Schnellbird. The monster staggered. Allan rushed in to attack. Latia shouted for Allan to aim for the white marking on its back. Allan struck the Schnellbird down. He clicked his tongue in annoyance. Latia rushed over to him, calling his name. She told him thank God he was okay. Allan stared at her. Latia caught herself, realizing she had only meant to help a little but had gotten way too involved. She thought about what a proper villainess would say right now. She told Allan that for the esteemed Knight Commander he was pathetic, struggling with a monster like that. She asked if the country was even safe with him leading the guard and said that being engaged to such a pitiful excuse for a man was humiliating. She was visibly shaking while saying all of this. Allan called her name softly. He pulled Latia into a hug, saying she came because she was worried about him. Aami was stunned, shouting that he was back to normal. Latia protested, saying she thought he hated her now. Allan, still holding her, said he never said that. He told her that even the way she kept throwing little tantrums was cute. Latia told him to wait. Allan said he had been forcing himself not to worry about her, but he was done with that. Latia was shocked. Daryus told Allan that he hadn't gone soft at all and said nice job. He and Allan agreed that it had been a while since they fought together like this. Daryus then addressed Latia as prophet and told her she was not just some noble lady, asking what she really was. Latia begged him to please drop the prophet thing. She didn't want Allan to know about any of this. She noticed Allan was already staring at her like he was onto something. Daryus said that wasn't suspicion, but before he could finish his thought, Allan asked since when the two of them had gotten so buddy-buddy. Daryus said he was just jealous. Latia realized she could use this situation. She declared that she and Daryus had become such close friends. Both Allan and Daryus reacted with surprise. It was the Kingdom of Cantiana's Foundation Day. A shopkeeper was selling a special replica bracelet said to have been given by the first king to his queen, available only on that day. Someone asked to take a look and the shopkeeper agreed. Latia appeared at the shop and the shopkeeper recognized her, calling out her name in surprise. He mentioned that he had been hearing rumors she had been fooling around with guys lately and asked if she was cheating with some rich boy again today. Latia tried on a bracelet and asked how it looked on her. Daryus was with her, looking miserable. He said it looked fine, he guessed, and asked what he knew about jewelry. The shopkeeper was shocked to see Father Daryus. Latia noticed Daryus didn't seem into it, so she decided to pass. She called out to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper asked which bracelet the two had been looking at. He pointed it out. Allan appeared in the shop, disguised in a cloak. The shopkeeper was shocked it was Allan Sama. Allan looked at the bracelet and thought to himself that this was what Latia was into. He thanked the shopkeeper anyway. The shopkeeper wondered if Allan was stalking Lady Latia. Latia spotted gorgeous flowers and exclaimed about the rare colors, saying they were perfect for someone as mysterious as her. She asked Daryus which one suited her. Daryus sighed and asked if he could just pick any one of them and be done with it. Latia whispered to him to at least pretend to care a little. Daryus said he did care. Latia called him hopeless and squeezed his arm. Allan loomed behind them, watching. Latia noticed his tailing skills were obvious. Daryus shook his head and told Latia he thought they had played around long enough. He reminded her that he agreed to go along with this charade in exchange for answers. They moved to a spot far enough away from Allan. Daryus noted it was something Latia didn't want Allan to hear. He told her it was time for answers. Latia turned to the crow and asked if it was okay to tell Daryus a bit. She asked the crow, but it appeared to be asleep. Daryus asked why she was talking to her pet. Latia said the crow wasn't exactly a pet. She asked the crow that if she was about to say something she shouldn't, to please stop her. Daryus was silent for a moment. Latia told him that the rumors about Latia the Villainess were something she herself was spreading. Daryus covered his face, saying it made him feel like an idiot for believing them. Latia then told him that if she ended up with Allan, the kingdom would get destroyed. Daryus asked if she knew it sounded crazy. Latia said she did. Daryus said he didn't think her prophecy was fake. He said he thought the prophetic power she got from that bird spirit was worth trusting. Latia thought to herself that she had skipped too much and now Daryus had it all wrong. The dove had just showed her the future and didn't give her any powers. Aami-san was the one who actually knew the game. She thought about her past life in Otome games and realized there was no way she could explain all that. She told Daryus she had answered his questions as promised and asked if he would help her at least for today. Daryus told her not just today, he would help her from now on. Latia was shocked and asked why. Daryus said he may not look it, but he was devout. He said that if a spirit and a prophet were trying to protect the kingdom, wanting to help wasn't that weird. He added that Aami-san and himself couldn't mess with the knights or vigilantes on their own. Latia was excited to have him on their side. Latia asked for his help. Daryus agreed, telling her he was counting on her. Allan watched them from a distance, wondering what they were talking about. Aami thought back to how she had brushed Latia off when Latia tried to explain that the date was just to make Allan-sama lose interest in her. Aami admitted that feelings for your favorite don't just vanish overnight. and she couldn't stop thinking about it, so she came to spy. She also said she could live with her interpretation of Daryus being wrong. She spotted Allan in his disguise and called out his name, saying it was the worst disguise ever and asking if he seriously thought he was being sneaky. Allan told Aami to please not let him be spotted. He figured that if he couldn't even hear what Latia and Daryus were saying, he might as well retreat. He then wondered if they had made eye contact with Latia's group. He said hey to get Azami's attention. Azami looked around and found he had vanished. Allan grabbed Aami. She shouted for him to let her go. He told her to keep it down or they would hear them. He asked if she was the apothecary's girl. He said he had seen her hanging around Latia lately, and asked what exactly the two of them were plotting. Aami said she wasn't sure what he meant by plotting. Aami had no clue what Daryus-sama was talking about. Allan told her to cut the innocent act. He pointed out her way of talking and how she acted, and asked if she really thought he wouldn't get suspicious. He asked what she had been putting in Latia's head. Aami said that was pretty harsh. She told him she was just helping Latia, and that Latia was the one coming to her for advice. Allan asked what kind of advice. Aami thought she couldn't exactly tell him it was to break off his engagement. She told him it was way above her pay grade. Aami suggested that if anyone was whispering in Latia's ear, he should be looking at the crow. She said Latia told her it was some kind of spirit. Allan looked at the crow and said it apparently only talked to Latia. Aami noted there weren't any spirits in the game. Allan said that meant it really was some kind of monster. Allan said it was too bad he couldn't hear what the spirit was saying. Latia came over and confirmed that she was the only one who could hear it. Daryus and Aami were surprised. Allan grabbed the crow. Latia shouted for him to wait and cried out for Mr. Crow. Allan told Latia that the thing was a monster and not to let it trick her. Latia asked what he was talking about. She demanded he let the crow go. Latia then asked Aami if she had said something to Allan. Aami apologized. Latia asked Mr. Crow if he was okay. He let out a caw. The men said that he looked like a regular crow to them, and Latia was asked to translate. But then it dawned on Latia, she couldn't understand him anymore. Latia thought to herself that she could no longer understand Mr. Crow. She asked him what was wrong and if he was feeling sick. The crow had turned back into the usual dove and fell asleep. Latia told herself that she had to keep it a secret. Mr. Crow told her not to give them any more information and also told her to stop calling him a dove. Latia rushed out, telling everyone that Mr. Crow had suddenly fallen ill. She said she was worried and needed to get a doctor for him right away. Someone asked if spirits even see doctors. Latia excused herself and left. Mr. Crow found it strange that the dove was still not up the next day either. He wondered if a spirit could even get sick like a regular animal. He noted that he had never seen the dove sleep before, and he had never seen it eat either. There was so much he did not know. Latia decided she would at least get some water ready. Latia called out to a maid and asked her to bring some water in a small dish to her room. The maid was confused. Latia did not recognize the maid and asked where her usual one was. The maid explained that her usual maid had gotten sick the day before. Her arms and legs were paralyzed and she was losing consciousness. Latia was startled by the symptoms. Paralyzed limbs and loss of consciousness sounded familiar to her. The maid then told Latia that she had a visitor, and asked if she should bring her in. The maid said it was the girl who had visited once before. Aami arrived looking shocked, asking Latia why she was hiding at a time like this. She pointed out that usually she did not even have to call Latia because Latia always came running over on her own. Latia asked what had happened. Aami asked how the crow was doing. Latia said he was not doing well. Aami said she had been hoping the spirit might know something, and then asked Latia if she had ever heard of white poison disease. Latia recognized it as an illness from the prince route in the game. In the game, one day Azami's parents got struck by this mysterious sickness. To make the cure, Aami figured out they needed a golden herb, but the herb only grew in the royal gardens of a foreign kingdom. When the prince found out what happened, for Azami's sake he negotiated with that country and got the herb. Latia realized that in the game only Azami's family got sick, but now other people were getting infected too. She recalled that the monsters in the Borderlands event and the white poison disease event were only supposed to trigger when your affection with Daryus or the prince was high enough. On top of that, the scale of events kept getting bigger. Her maid's symptoms matched the disease, and the dove still would not wake up. Latia wondered if this was a sign that the kingdom would really be destroyed. She decided that thinking about it there would not help. She told Aami to stay with her family and said she would handle getting the golden herb somehow. She added that once she had it, she would need Azami's help again. Daryus noted that Latia wanted his help with this too. He suggested that it would be faster for her as a marquise's daughter to pull some strings. He warned her that there was only so much his vigilante corps could do, but said he would do everything he could. Latia explained that she had already asked merchants who traded with that country and every doctor and apothecary in the kingdom if they knew how to get the herb. Without the dove's guidance, even Aami was at her limit. Daryus said he thought Latia could just use her prophecy power to fix things. Latia replied that all she really had was a little influence. She planned to use everything she had, and the more options they had, the better. Daryus remarked that even if she could predict things, she could not stop what was going to happen. He said that if he was not the only one she was counting on, that was a relief. He agreed to help out, though he muttered that it was easier said than done. Daryus walked away wondering how they were supposed to get the herb. His vigilante corps did not have the pull for diplomatic negotiations. The foreign country was one of the most defense-focused in the region, so sneaking in was not realistic either. He thought about the royal palace and the golden herb and called it a pain of a job. He then started to say something about an idea he had. Allan in armor appeared and called out to Daryus. Daryus said he would like to hear more. He asked what Daryus was sneaking around and digging into. Allan asked Daryus if he could just pretend he had not heard anything. Daryus said no and that he would not drag Allan into it. He said he would ask the prince about the herb. He explained that the last thing they needed was to make the other kingdoms suspicious by acting shady around their borders. He added that if they wanted something, it was better to ask openly. Besides, he started to add something else. Allan said that the golden herb was what Latia and the others had been running around looking for. Daryus confirmed it. Allan said he had heard about all of it, the unexplained illness and Latia and her friends' movements. He already knew they were not ordinary women, but he had not expected them to know about the cure for the disease too. Allan told Daryus he was not going to explain the details. Daryus asked what details. Allan said that once he had the herb he would send it Daryus's way. He also had one more request. He asked Daryus not to tell Latia that he had helped. Daryus asked why not. Allan said that Latia would not be happy about it. Daryus remarked that the two of them were such a pain. Latia confirmed to Aami that the symptoms of paralyzed limbs and loss of consciousness were just like in the game. As for the cause, Aami explained that in the game if you bought some weird fruit from a traveling merchant, the heroine's family ate it, and that triggered the Prince Route's event. But none of the people who had collapsed ate anything suspicious. Latia called that part a mystery. Someone called out Latia's name. Daryus arrived and announced that they had got it. Latia was surprised. Aami confirmed that it was the golden herb. This was the only rare ingredient they needed and everything else was available. They had enough for everyone. Latia told them to start making the medicine right away. She thanked Daryus. Daryus looked caught off guard and said he had not done anything. The medicine they made began glowing. Latia was amazed, noting that a medicine that shone gold was just like in the game. Aami said it looked like they had just enough for everyone. They began administering the medicine to the sick people. One of the patient's fingers twitched. Latia suddenly collapsed. Aami called out her name in shock. Latia said her legs had just suddenly given out. Allan burst in shouting that something terrible had happened. He saw Latia collapsed on the ground. Aami was shocked to see Allan there. Allan looked at Latia unconscious on the bed. He recognized it as the white poison disease. Aami noted that he already knew about it. She told him that they had used every last drop of the medicine. Allan said it had become quite the problem. Aami said that everything had come together smoothly thanks to Latia setting it all up, and now Latia was the one who had collapsed. Aami pointed out that if they started over even with the guild's help there was no telling how long it would take. She said she would get the ingredients. Allan told her he would have everything by tomorrow. Aami asked what he was talking about, explaining that they needed fangs and scales from high-ranked monsters. Those usually required a whole party to take down, and going solo would be suicide. There was also a rare herb called golden grass that was basically impossible to find. Allan said he had already arranged the golden grass. He told her he would be back once he had everything. Aami was confused. He stated that he was not leaving Latia like this. Latia found herself in a cold, dark place. She was all alone and there was nobody around her. It felt just like before. She wondered if she was going to be alone in this world too. Someone called her name. Latia noticed that someone was there. She wondered if they were calling for her. She asked if they would stay with her. A hand reached out and grabbed hers. Latia woke up to find Allan holding her hand at her bedside. He asked her how she was feeling. She asked if everything was all right. She recognized Allan and said his name. Allan exclaimed that he was relieved. Latia was shocked by the situation, wondering what was going on. She told Allan to let go of her and told him to quit squirming. Allan told her she was still recovering and to stay put. Latia felt dizzy. Allan told Latia that she had run herself into the ground making medicine for the white poison, so she should take it easy. Latia noticed that he looked terrible and asked what had happened to him. Allan told her not to worry about it. He told her to get some more sleep. Allan said he would come by tomorrow. Latia, still looking dazed, called out to him. Latia panicked, wondering what she should do since Allan was coming. She realized she had totally forgotten to act like the villain and had just gone along with everything. She told herself that if he came again she had to shut this down. The dove was still out cold so she could not count on him for help. A maid announced that Allan was there to see her. Latia flinched. Allan greeted Latia and said she looked way better, calling it a relief. Latia told him that she did not remember inviting him and asked him to please leave. She added that if she kept seeing his depressing face while trying to recover, she might collapse again. Allan remarked that she seemed healthy enough to go out. Latia was confused. Allan picked her up in a princess carry. Latia protested, asking him to stop picking her up like she weighed nothing. She yelled at the maid to help her. Allan told her that he had already spoken to her family. Latia told him to at least put her down if that was the case. Latia called him a kidnapper. Allan told her to stop pouting. She demanded that he put her down. Allan said he could not risk her bolting. Lydia pointed out that they were in a carriage, so where would she even go? Latia asked where they were going. Allan said they were almost there. He told her it was a place just for her. Latia asked if it was for her. Allan said they had arrived. Allan offered to carry her. Latia insisted she could walk. They arrived at a beautiful garden. Allan explained that the garden belonged to his family. The gardener had told him that everything was in full bloom. Latia noticed her favorite flowers, soft purple primroses. Allan asked if those were all flowers she liked. She confirmed they were. Allan told her she had told him that 10 years ago, he remembered watching her happily name each flower, and so he had decided to make this place somewhere she could feel at peace. Allan called her name. Allan told Latia he was glad she was safe. Latia thought to herself that he had made all of this for her. She realized that Allan really did love her, but to her Allan was still just a favorite character. She repeated to herself that he was just a favorite character, but then questioned whether that was really all he was. Lacia snapped herself out of it, telling herself not to get swept away. She told Allan that taking advantage of someone fresh out of a sickbed to hit on them was low. Allan laughed and said it was a relief that she had the energy to insult him. He said that compared to seeing her lying there like a broken doll, this was much better. Allan told Latia they should head back. She asked him to please stop carrying her already. Allan told her to give it up. Back at her room, Latia was surprised to find Mr. Crow had returned to his crow form. She exclaimed his name. Mr. Crow greeted her casually. Latia told him she was relieved, saying he had been out so long she thought he was sick. Crow apologized and said stuff had come up. Mr. Crow asked if anything had happened while he was out. Latia nervously started to explain what had happened, then told him that it all worked out so he should not worry. Mr. Crow stayed silent. He then announced he was heading out for a bit. Latia called after him in confusion. Mr. Crow muttered to himself that he had screwed up. He wondered why everyone had gotten better. He repeated that he had screwed up and said the boss was going to have his head.